Hello, welcome to Dibs on Blue. I'm Stephanie Jessup and this is my sign name. Today I want to show how to play the Alpha. Thank you to my patrons and to the publisher, Games by Bicycle, for sponsoring this video. This game is for 3 to 6 players and takes around 45 minutes to play. In the Alpha, each player controls a pack of wolves that are all hungry and ready to go hunt for food. In each round, players will send wolves to various regions of the forest. If you have the most wolves in one region, your wolves become the dominant pack, giving you better opportunities to search for food and eat it. After 5 rounds, the wolf pack with the most food wins the game. To set up, each player needs a den board, which are all the same. Then everyone needs to pick the color they will play by collecting the wolf pair, the alpha of that color. Players also need the 6 beta wolves of that color and the conflict token of that color. Place the food track, or the main board, in the middle of the table. Each player must place 1 beta wolf on the gray rock of the food track. The rock is labeled with a number 5. This track will count your points throughout the game. The remaining beta wolves and the alpha pair are placed on your den board. Put the weak's left token on the yellow number 5 of the weak's left track. The region tiles should be placed above and below the main board. Medium and large tiles should be placed above the board, which represents the deep forest. While the smaller tiles, scavenge tiles, and livestock tile should be placed below the board, which represents the near forest. The number of tiles you use depends on the number of players, seen here in this chart. So follow this guide. Each region tile needs the corresponding die of that color set near the tile. For example, the brown die should be placed near the brown region tile with the deer. The scavenge tiles don't need any dice. The first player is whoever can yell the loudest, or you can just decide for yourselves. The first player needs the alpha token. And then you're ready to play. The first player takes their turn and play continues clockwise around the table. Each round has 5 phases: stalk, establish dominance, chase, resolve, and advance. In the first phase of the round, the stalk phase, players can choose their alpha pair or one of their beta wolves to place on any one region tile. And this happens in turn order, starting with the first player. Play continues around the table with players placing individual wolves until all of the wolves have been placed and all the den boards are empty. But of course, there are several rules to follow here. If you place a wolf on a deep forest tile, you must pay 1 food. You do so by decreasing your points by 1, moving your wolf on the food track down 1 space. If you reach 0 on the food track, you cannot place wolves in the deep forest. Only 1 wolf from each player can be placed on a scavenge tile. So if you place your wolf there, you can't place another wolf there again. Only 1 wolf total can go on the livestock tile. So if you place a wolf there, that's it. No other players can go there. Then you move to the second phase, establishing dominance. Count how many wolves are on each region tile. The alpha pair counts as 2 wolves, while the beta wolves represent 1 wolf. The player with the most wolves on the region tile is considered to have the most control. For example, if you have 3 wolves on the fish tile and another player has 2 wolves, then your wolves are the dominant wolf pack in that region. The other player's wolves are considered to be the scavenger pack. But if there's a tie, for example, if you have 2 wolves in a region and another player has their alpha pair there, which represents 2 wolves, then you both establish dominance, and in the resolve phase, there will be a conflict, which I'll explain later. Then you move into the third phase, chase. For each region tile, the player controlling the dominant wolf pack rolls the corresponding die. If there's more than 1 dominant wolf pack in a region, the player with the alpha token in their possession, or the player sitting closest to the alpha token in clockwise order, rolls the die. For the large tiles, like the bison and the moose, there has to be at least 5 wolves present in the region. The wolves can be from different players. If there are at least 5, the die can be rolled. But if there's less than 5, the die cannot be rolled and no food will be collected. If a number 1 through 20 is rolled, the search for food was a success. That number represents the amount of food available. If an X is rolled, the food is gone. Maybe the animal scurried off and escaped. So there isn't any food available in that case. If there's more than 1 dominant wolf pack, the other dominant wolf pack can attempt to re-roll. If it's still an X, all of the wolves from that tile are returned to their den boards. If you roll a C with a number, for example, C4, that means carrion. The animal prey is injured and becomes carrion for the next round. The wolves on that tile will resolve a conflict, which you'll see in a moment. After the conflict, the tile is flipped over to the carrion side. In the next round, that is the number of food available for that tile. You don't roll the die for that tile in that round. After the round, it's flipped back over and used normally. Rolling a D is only possible on the livestock tile, and if that happens, the wolf there immediately dies and is removed from the game, never to be used again. Once a die is rolled, place the die on the corresponding tile. Then you move into the resolve phase. Start with the small tiles and work your way to the bigger ones. If there aren't any wolves present on a tile, just ignore it. If during the third phase, a number 1 through 20 was rolled, and there was only 1 dominant wolf pack on that tile, then that player collects that amount of food by increasing their points. For example, if a 5 was rolled, and you're the only dominant wolf pack on the tile, then you collect 5 food by moving your wolf up 5 on the food track. But if there's more than 1 dominant wolf pack, there is a conflict. Wolves on the scavenge tile do not resolve a conflict. Remember, there's only 1 wolf from each player on that tile. So each player will simply earn 1 food just by being there. If you pass 30 on the food track, start back at the beginning and lay your wolf down to show you have more than 30 points. Then you can continue counting from there. So to resolve a conflict, if there's more than 1 dominant wolf pack, each player in the conflict secretly decides whether or not to fight or share the available food. To do this, use the conflict token. Once they have decided, players reveal their conflict tokens at the same time. If players decide to share, the food is divided evenly or as near evenly as possible amongst the players in conflict. For example, if you and another player both decide to share and there's 5 food available, then you go by turn order with whoever has the alpha token in their possession or is sitting closest to the alpha token. That player collects 1 food. So if you're sitting closest to the alpha token in turn order, then you collect 1 food. Then the other player collects 1, you collect 1, then the other player collects 1, and then finally, you get the last food. So you would get 3 food, or points. In this case, the other player would get 2. If only one player decides to fight and the others decide to share, the player who decided to fight collects all of the food. If at least 2 players decide to fight, one wolf from each of their wolf packs becomes injured. They do not collect food. Instead, they place a wolf from that tile in the injured spot of the main board. That wolf cannot be used in the next round. Their other wolves from that tile are returned to the den boards. If 2 players decide to fight, but one player decides to share, that player who decided to share collects all of the food. If everyone decides to fight, no food is collected. The scavenger wolf packs don't typically earn food, but if the dominant wolf packs fight and become injured, the scavenger wolf packs collect all of the food. If there's more than one scavenger wolf pack, they share the available food. And again, if it's not an equal amount, you go in turn order, starting with the player with the alpha token in their possession or sitting closest to the alpha token. That player gets the first food, and then food is divided as evenly as possible amongst the players. Then, you move to the advanced phase of the round. Any wolves left on any of the region tiles are returned to their den boards. Wolves in the injured section of the board are moved to the healing section, and any wolves in the healing section are returned to their den boards. The week's left token is moved up to the next number on the week's left track. The player with the most food takes control of the alpha token. If there's a tie for most food, the player who is sitting closest to the alpha token, in turn order, takes control of the token. But if the tied player already has the alpha token, they just keep it. When the week's left token gets to 0, the game is over. The player with the most food is the winner. If there's a tie, the tied player with the alpha token wins, or the tied player sitting closest to the alpha token in turn order wins. Well, that's it for explaining the alpha. Thanks again, patrons and Games by Bicycle. If you've enjoyed watching, subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DibsOnBlueGames. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I will gladly respond. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.